We can
Okay.
comment. I'll move first and
You
then
move.
so move.
Comments.
Need a second?
I second.
Thank you. Now, discussion.
Comments. All right. I get the pages. Well, first, the treasurer indicated I called for the information on Wells Fargo. I'd like you to put that on old business as we go forward.
Oh, you want to just add it to the agenda as a,
Yeah,
sure,
okay, so I want to get that.
sure.
That's not important. Here's my inability to turn pages. I got it. All right, the meeting. On the question about the extra on the road, the last sentences where Vice President Ober asked about the 2000. Commissioner Santi explained that, and it's too jumbled for me, that the contractor incurred, here I'm changing it, the contractor incurred unstable soil conditions, and therefore he is required to install a gravel to stabilize the soil layer. Okay?
Where?
Where are you? Yeah.
Page 4,
Okay.
first paragraph.
Like one, two, three, third line from the end. Let me go over to it again.
Okay,
Vice
okay.
President Dover asked what the 2000 and change was for. Commissioner Lasanti explained that, ended right there. The contractor, this is new, the contractor incurred unstable soil conditions and therefore it required the contractor to add gravel to stabilize the soil layer, period. Commissioner Scholar second, and then a roll call was taken and the motion was passed unanimously.
So you want that wording inserted and you
Yeah,
got,
the other doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we'll get it from the tape.
you got it on the tape. Okay.
Okay. All right. The next on the sewer project, I just want to add this because I never believe in committees. 1, 2, 3. The third line, talk about Commissioner Dover again, recommending a committee, and then you say he believes. Well, to clarify that, you should say he also believes. I don't believe, but he also believes that a committee should be a public event. Scholar agrees that there should be a committee to assist. I don't think the committee should assist us. I think there should be a committee to represent the residents, in my view. And if the motion was passed unanimously, I didn't know that because I never believe in committees, but be that as it may. Okay,
What do you want changed?
just leave it unanimous. That's not a big deal. I just want to just change those two
Well,
words.
No, did you not vote or did you?
I don't remember, but that's okay.
Oh, well, if you want to register as, we could change it.
It's not worth it.
Okay,
That's all I have.
okay. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of the 2015 budget ordinance. George, do you?
Sure.
This is the ordinance in your packet, George tossed it to me, that this is how we adopt the budget every year. So we have to do it by ordinance. The budget has not changed since what you saw last month. So we're all set. We'll have this ordinance and with a copy of the budget attached, and you can vote on it next week, and that'll be the official budget for 2015.
You don't need a hearing on that.
It would not a separate one. When you call for the motion, you can ask for, say
Okay.
this is the public hearing on it, and
That's the hearing, okay.
yes. Okay, separate meeting.
When will we have the completed actual versus budget for 214?
January,
15th? 30th?
definitely 30th.
Okay.
Yeah, by the January legislative meeting, you'll have the stuff that I have through December.
At that point, I just want to review it with you.
Sure.
Okay, there's no motion yet on that. Any other discussion? Number 6, discussion of 2015 millage ordinance.
Same process. When you set the millage, you have to do it by ordinance. And as part of the budget this year, did not propose to change the millage in any way. So it's set, the budget was calculated keeping the millage at 3.5 mils. We will actually do that one first next week because you set the millage and then you can adopt the budget based on the millage.
Any idea how we compare with neighboring communities at this point?
Lower than Sewickley, and we're lower.
We're lower than most
You're lower.
communities, yeah. Because don't you get something from the county every year? They give you all the millages, and we're pretty low.
I heard just a very brief, I'd have to classify it as a rumor that some organization is trying to encourage mergers again. There's activity again on that. Has anybody else heard anything about that?
I haven't heard
That's been
anything.
going.
It pops up every once in a while. Consolidate your police, consolidate your fire.
It absolutely should happen, I
Yeah.
agree,
Mhm.
but I started it.
Why don't you,
The room.
you only have 129 people to convince.
Where in
I certainly,
Community.
Hayesville?
I certainly
communities.
think police.
Oh, the communities,
fire
wow.
companies, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't think there are more than 100 and some
Only
people
in
live in
Pennsylvania.
Hayesville.
No, you look at 129 communities.
Yeah, at least. I thought there were 132, but then, okay.
But you got-
Any other discussion?
So even if, one quick question, so even if it doesn't change, you still resubmit the ordinance
Every year.
with the
Yes, every year.
Discussion of financial analysis of bond debt. Who's going to take that one?
Me. At the Masonic meeting, one of the questions was, are we considering refinancing the debt, or at least investigating to lower the interest rate? I was talking to one of our neighbors that works in the financial community, and he suggested that an independent review of the bond issue and our strategy going forward, independent of underwriters, would be a very important thing to do. And he gave me a name of a gentleman at Cohen and Grigsby who is expert in municipal finance. I had a very brief conversation with him. As I told Matt, I did not discuss the details of deliverables and I did not discuss any contractual relationship, but I wanted to get a feel for a budget. And he suggested $3,000 to $4,000. And he said that in this particular bond market, we should be in the refinance investigation mode at all times. It's a very liquid market right now. He also said, without going into details, and he was aware of this, it may also be important due to some of the legal actions currently. And he agreed that an analysis of our situation independent of an underwriter is a good idea. Now, he would have a bias. Just from talking with my neighbor and from talking with this gentleman, I also think it's a good idea.
Is this something we have to wait for 5 years from the initial?
Well, no, that's part of what we need to do. One of the first things he would do is analyze the conditions and the penalties and the restrictions on refinancing. He would also investigate, if we're still of the mind, would it be possible for the authority to buy the sewer back to end some of the complications that we run into? And again, with the guarantee of the township. And he said the guarantee of the township is not an unusual event in this day and age that virtually all sewer bond issues require the full faith and credit of the township. So I think there would be three aspects to it. Look at the bond issue, report back to us as to the penalties, the conditions, the restrictions on refinancing. Present us with a general strategy as to how we should move forward in the investigation. And then also give us an opinion about whether the authority or the township should be the initiator of the refinancing.
Mhm. And
And
did you say you do have a ballpark number of what this might cost?
You know, again, I didn't get into the details. I just said I have to talk about this to everybody else. Give me a ballpark. He said $3,000 to $4,000.
and what does he do? What does this person do?
I could dig. He's an attorney at Cohen and Grigsby with an expertise in municipal finance.
So
I think-
he doesn't have bonds to sell.
That's the key.
It's good.
Just want to be sure.
Now, he knew our underwriter. He knew the young lady that was the lead on that underwriting. He's very familiar with all the other underwriters. And then in addition, Gwen received, which she forwarded to me, there's a new guy in town that perhaps we should also have come out and just give us an opinion. That would be free.
Mhm.
We did not go through an RFP, I believe.
No.
When we selected the underwriter.
Interviewed 2 firms and selected one.
Yes.
I repeat that for professional service, you do not necessarily have to go through an RFP.
That's right. But he thinks there are competitive opportunities out there. But I think most importantly, it's a very fluid bond market right now. And I think to have somebody advise us on a strategy within that market might save us money.
Well, I think that's all dependent upon how, what we can do with the investment we have,
Yes.
whether we're going to be totally locked in or not. But I guess he can look at that and see what the penalties are.
I think the first non-penalty refunding or refinance is the end of 216
5 years, exactly.
or 217.
So
16, I think we did
So it-
11 was the ordinance.
It's a ways out there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that with our improved credit rating, the rating on the bond issue has improved since we issued it because our credit worthiness is better. And every time we make a principal and interest payment, our credit score goes up, so to speak. Prior, we had no borrowing history, certainly not of an $8 million issue. So even with the penalties on an early refunding or refinancing, it may be worth it. You know, you save a percentage point on a 30-year bond, it could be significant.
Why does he think it's fluid? Because there are
The market is
possible
just-
interest rate changes in the summer. I mean, the feds are going to change things and they're going to go up.
Yeah, they're going up, so.
Yeah, I just read some articles, you know, on the web. There's an enormous amount of refinancing ongoing right now. I think they pointed out the state of Massachusetts, et cetera. It's more than just the speculation that rates are going to go up. There's
Evidence.
there's just a lot of activity in the bond market. There's a lot of buyers out there that may be willing to buy at a discount.
Oh,
and the advice is keep short because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
okay.
So I think based upon what I learned, I think it's advisable. I mean, I don't like to spend money, but I think $3,000 or $4,000 may be money very well spent. And I think the other part of that is we did not sign the agreement with Janney that affords them the opportunity to advise us. So right now, we really have no advisor. And I think, again, my opinion, to have somebody independent of the underwriter be that advisor may also be to our benefit.
Agreed.
But I think we need one.
I think so too. And one of my questions is, do we have to stay with,
Jenny.
well, Janny and also the bank? I think we can do a heck of a better if we
Yes.
do that locally.
I think Gwen looked into that a little bit, where our money is being held.
Yes, our money here, our
Yes.
township money versus bond money.
I'm talking about the bond money,
The bond money,
the excess money that,
We were gonna investigate where that's
that's
invested.
yes, that's at Wells Fargo, and that they're our paying agent that we contracted with for this.
I think to have an independent review of all of the above
I think that would be helpful.
may be well worth $3 or $4 grand.
Okay, now, we were talking about, should we talk to anybody else? And you mentioned requests for proposals. If you don't bid
I
professional
don't like
services,
this. Don't give me- I don't like that for professional services.
You don't
You
want.
should ask, you should ask 2 or 3.
well, that's what I'm getting at, you know, not a bid, or,
Not a bid.
but it's get a proposal from 2 or 3.
I've never met this man. Went on to his bio in Cohen and Grigsby, had a talk with him. Tim Miller was the one that recommended him. But if there are others that we should talk to, I have no qualms about that at all. And again, I didn't feel comfortable. I mean, I was going to kind of give it to you, Matt, to have the next conversation with him to talk about deliverables and contractual relationship.
Me?
Well, I was going to
He
talk to
sounded
Tony
serious
about
with
that.
How do I know about this?
I just didn't know how to define what we want him to do. But at any rate, if we wanted to talk to several more, great. I think it's a good idea. This was one name that was given to me.
Well, I could probably get you more names. I don't know anybody personally. I mean, but
Yeah.
the network would know some.
I think it's worth pursuing.
What do you want? A couple more? 1, 3 total?
Sure.
At least 2 more.
Okay.
Do you know somebody, Tony?
No, I don't. I mean, I know a lot, but I'd rather, my frame of reference is 10 years old. I'd rather ask somebody that I know
And you
that's still
said
in the
there's
business.
somebody new?
Zion Bank?
I wonder what,
I just got an email, just
what.
random, we're getting into the business, can we talk to you? So I-
They're
Yes,
just
it's
a
a
bank,
finance thing.
they're a bank.
Look, I'm sure Banks and I'm sure Gannett Fleming, I'm sure others that I know good advisors. I can ask them.
I think all we need to decide now is it worthy of further investigation. I mean, I can ask some other people too.
I mean, I suspect every big law firm will have a municipal finance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some better than others, it's true.
Yeah.
I'd like to go through.
Chris, are you aware of any?
Not off the top of my head now.
Because Dickie really doesn't get involved in that.
No. Who's the gentleman at?
Chris is the municipal finance branch.
Yeah.
He didn't want to tell you that.
Who's the gentleman at Cohen?
Did I send it to you?
Didn't bring it in, didn't bring it.
I'm sure Harley has knowledge of him, or at least.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me find 2 more.
Sure.
And then we can decide. I have no personal.
I didn't bring the email, so.
I think it's a good idea, though. I think it's worth,
I had a good,
worth looking at. And
I mean, the gentleman was obviously biased because he would like a contract, but a $3,000 or $4,000 contract doesn't bias a guy like this that much.
I don't think so.
And I read his bio, and Cohen and Grigsby is significant in the
oh, it's
industry.
a good firm.
But there's no harm in,
Yeah.
and if we hear the same name twice, we just kind
Yeah,
of let it alone.
I'll make a couple phone calls and see what they come up with. I need 2.
Okay. Update of the road study.
You want me to do that? I looked at the road study. There's a lot of boilerplate in it. And I looked at the $8,000. I said to myself, there's not much to this. And I asked Tom to take me around, show me some of the roads. He didn't show me all. But I thought that we could sit down with Gwen and Tom, and then I just asked Belinda. But I think we could put together that road study without any trouble and give you estimates.
In-house,
Yeah,
good.
I mean, it's not a big deal. And I'll call a couple contractors And we'll find out what the, you know, that's a fluid thing, what the latest rates are with the asphalt and some of the other stone. But Bill Davis knows a lot of that. I mean, we have people here that know a lot of that.
What's your criteria as to when a road needs to be done?
When a road needs to be done, based on the traffic primarily, based on the traffic.
Condition of the road?
Well, obviously, it's based on the condition of the
Well,
road.
no, I only bring it up because I drive down Blackburn into Sewickley.
Yeah.
Sewickley Heights is terrible.
It is, but
Now, do we let our road go to that point before
well,
we?
that's beyond, I mean, that should have been done years ago.
Mhm.
They're gonna have to pull it up and put a new base and everything
Yeah,
else.
if you let it go too far, it gets
Yeah,
to
it's
be a
too
more
far
major
gone.
job.
Yeah, that's a bad example.
Mhm.
That's too far. Okay, we know that's too far. But we're trying to get it, and it's too far. The other thing is there are a lot of so-called roads that serve one or two people, and this famous road of, I don't know the extension of Maryland.
School Street,
Is that it?
going down from
Yeah,
there.
Well, that, you're not gonna get in there and repave that. That's foolhardy. You're gonna patch it and keep it going. That's a major job.
Mhm.
And, you know, why do we want to take that?
Yeah, maybe they want to join Aleppo.
No, if they want to join, come on in, but we don't want to do it independently. I mean, it's craziness.
I think this ties to two other things in my mind.
Well, I think we're going to meet Wednesday, and maybe next Monday I'll have not the report, but I'll have a feel for where we are.
Well, here are the two things. When we talked about analyzing where we have our money invested in the various funds, and we wanted to have somebody come in and ladder CDs or whatever.
Yeah.
What I told Gwen was that I have a difficult time doing that until I have an assessment of the needs for the roads. So that there's a tie
The
there.
big item?
Big item. And
I don't-
number two, it ties into the selection of a township engineer.
Well, that's a different story.
And are we progressing on that at all?
I gave you the RFP that I had.
Let's do one thing at a time. Let's come to
Okay,
come back to
but
that.
I'm just saying, in my mind, the three things are tied. The cash flow requirement of the roads, the selection of the engineer, and the investment of the remaining funds. Because if we have $1 million laying around, so to speak, but we know that 300,000 has to go to roads next year and 225 the next year, then we can ladder those CDs appropriately.
Yeah. We can do it either way. I mean, we can wait till you get an engineer on board. I don't care. I'm just trying to,
Well, I think it's a great idea to do it in-house.
I'm just trying to expedite it for you. Theoretically, if you're gonna get an engineer, let him do it. But how soon are you gonna get an
So
engineer?
let's do the in-house first.
Okay.
I mean, do we need a motion to do that?
No, you don't.
I think it's a great idea. I think we have a lot of talent. And we're just looking for a number. How much do we have to spend over the next 10 years?
Yeah, well, you want it broken down.
Yep.
Okay. I have no prejudgment on this, so we'll have a little prejudgment once we see it.
Good.
Okay? I just want to bring that up.
Good. Unfinished business. Bye, moving right along here.
Well, can I
We're not
jump,
going to set any record, but go ahead.
can I jump to the engineer then?
Yeah,
sure.
Apparently, we do not need an RFP. I agree that if we don't need one legally, we don't need one. And we have several names, and Gwen, we've had several expressions of interest.
Yes, but I worked on the RFP sample, so I didn't make any calls
No,
yet
no,
until
that's
that was
fine.
approved. So if we're not doing that, I can just go ahead and call them.
You can use the RFP as a basis of discussing.
Yeah, I agree with that. That I think that
Use
not
the
needing to do competitive bidding doesn't
That's
mean
right.
you don't need an RFP.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
And I suspect when you reach out to those engineers, one of the first things they're going to say is, well,
What's the scope?
yeah,
What's the scope?
Did I give it to you? I didn't give it to
You
you.
did not give it
I
to
would
me.
like to give it to you.
I did.
You did, okay.
RFP?
I thought, I mean, I've
It
only
doesn't
looked at
matter.
it briefly, but I thought you did a great job with it.
Well,
Yes.
I copied that,
And
modeled it
Phil,
off that one, but I change a few things.
Can you just make me a copy for Wednesday?
that's all lawyers do all day long, right? Copied off of.
And who are the firms that,
Boilerplate.
Boilerplate.
who are the firms that have responded?
I have not spoken to anyone yet. All I have are the names that have been given to me. No one has responded.
Do you recall the names?
Gateway, Shoop, and HRG. Herbert Roland.
HRD is pretty big. And, yeah, they're very big. I don't know.
And then the other question I had was apparently Bankston is doing a very good job for the authority.
Top notch.
I liked him today.
Is it a given that we don't want them as the township engineer? Are we eliminating them as an option because they're with the authority, or should we include them?
That was brought out, and I agree with, I think Matt made it. You should really have somebody separate. I really think
Two
you should.
different
Yeah, right.
engineers.
And it takes two different disciplines.
Okay.
I think if we have Bankston do it, they're gonna sub out some of that work because they're not great road builders.
We have three good ones. I mean, Shub obviously being the smallest,
Yes.
but very practical.
Which ones did you say?
Gateway,
Yeah.
Shoop, and the one you gave me, HRG.
Lennon Smith Solar.
Oops.
Yeah, what about that? They're local.
There's Sewickley's road engineer.
We had them,
Road
at home.
engineer.
We had them
I
at
happen to
home.
know all those guys. Don't think very highly of them.
You don't.
No, they used to work for Chester. The top guys aren't engineers, they're scientists.
Okay. Yeah, they're on Coriopolis. That's the only
Yes,
reason.
they're in Corvallis.
Gateway is Swickley Heights.
Gateways, that's a fair size firm.
What about Baker?
You can get Baker, but that's a real firm. You have a turnpike you want to build?
I've had personal experience with Shoup, and I know they turned us down for another project, but they're very nearby. They're very good.
Yeah, they're good. Our guys think they're good.
There's this outfit in North Huntington that Glen Engineering, they said they were interested. I mean, I think that's far away, but they didn't seem to care. And they're,
That's a distance away. I don't know.
So Gwen, go ahead and make the calls and use the RFP as part of the interview process.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see.
I
I
want
just so I know.
make sure I stated everything accurately.
Yeah, good. I'll look at it. If somebody comes up with another idea, I'll give it to you. I asked a couple of people that the only other one they gave me was Naira, and
No.
that's a conflict with Glenn Osborne. Okay.
I have just an announcement to make. We got our new workers' comp insurance premium, came in $2,000 more than last year. Part of that is growth is just based on salaries, and part of that is we insure the volunteer fire company, and they're at a set rate, so we don't have a say, it's based on population served, and their portion went up a bit. We get that back from them, then we subtract the insurance premiums out of their contract. So they're gonna be taking a little bit more of a hit because that chunk went up. We are with AmeriHealth, and they are one of the last, if not the last, workers' comp firm that is still insuring volunteer fire companies. Most companies have spun off those because of the legislature's decision to pass the Cancer Presumption Act a few years ago, which presumes that any firefighter who gets cancer, it's presumed that it was on the job, whether they fought a fire ever or not. So
Smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
Yeah. So most insurance companies have spun that off, and they all go to Swift, which is the state insurance company. Our agent checked Swift just in case we, for some reason, would want to make a change, and that is $21,000. So this is the best option for us and for our.
Are we still not welcome in MRM?
We're too small at this point.
Okay.
We checked into it a couple years ago, and we weren't worth their effort.
Okay.
I got a number of items that's unfinished, or I can do it under the authority or whatever you want here.
Well, we don't have a category for authority on the list here, but so go ahead.
I'll be quiet. I only have 4 things here. You want me to do it?
Go, sure.
Okay, let me, the simplest thing, can I get that map up, just to bring you up to speed? Just to keep you informed.
Okay.
Can you get through?
Come over here.
I lost all that. Boom. Let me just break it. Just.
Right here?
Yeah, that's great, that's great. Our geotechnical engineer he's finished drilling all of these holes and all of these holes. And that's Akenhow. And as a result, he has made some preliminary determinations in the laboratory. Still, he has to confirm before we go into design. But the preliminary determination tells him that this rot is rot with problems. We're back into this red clay concept, and it's a broken up shale, and this would be because it's the shortest route and the cheapest one, it would be very, very expensive to try to do. So he actually abandoned the last hole. He said it's not even worth drilling. So he's finished this route here. And he had very good reports until he got down in this area. And he hit a lot right here is an underground stream, or I guess it's a continuation of the stream here. So there is a lot of groundwater here, and it's a broken up shale. It's structurally okay, but it's going to take some special effort in terms of design. In other words, you're just not going to dig a hole and throw a pipe in it. You're going to have to do some very special bedding, some special drainage, and probably some anchoring and truss blocking. But that's what he's doing now, our geotechnical. He's looking at the physical characteristics so he can give Banks some recommendations on design down in that area. So in essence, that will be the route we're going to take. So that's been decided. And of course, that's going to cost a few bucks more. And what we're going to do is, once that's done, we're going to authorize, and by the way, Bankson did the survey, so he had to lay out the drilling, so he did the survey, so that's been done also. So he can begin designing that line. And this will all be covered by the loan we have. And we're keeping separate tabs of that. And that will be all reimbursed under that AIM loan. So we've got plenty to cover the engineering aspects, even this little kicker here. So once we do that, we're going to have Bankson get a contractor to give us a very good preliminary estimate. Because I know the 200 is not going to work. I still believe it's going to be around 300, but let's get a preliminary design and get a good number. So the point being, we're going to have to come up with 300K somewhere or another to get this done.
That's just for construction, or that include engineering?
No, the engineering is all going to be covered.
That's a lot of the loan.
Okay, the loan's going to cover all of that in-house. It's going to cover the engineering. It covered the pressure gauge.
We need an additional 300 just for
Well,
construction.
I think we're
Okay.
going to have a few bucks left over here, but
Yeah.
we're going to have some. I hate to use numbers without a cost estimate, but I'm just saying ballpark. We're looking maybe 300. Now speaking of that, early warning pressure gauge, that thing is working very well. And what it's doing, it's telling us what the high pressure is and the very low pressure, and we were seeing some very good cycling there. So we're able to define where we want that pressure gauge set so that we can tell when there is really a leak and not the variability. We get a variable pressure based on what source we're getting from Westview and what pump we're getting from Westview. But the pressure in that line, I think I told you last time, is about 285 PSI, which is tremendous pressure. So if that line breaks, it's a high pressure line and we'll have some real problems. So I think we've got it covered with respect to knowing when this is going. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed there. This is working real well. Bill Davis is real good, real happy with this pressure thing. It's sending signals to him. He's very happy with the way he responds. The only Well, there's some talk, well, maybe we should wait till this breaks before we build it, but we're gambling there. I'm not sure that's worth a $300,000 gamble. So we're gonna hope that that holds and we get this built and we don't have to worry about paying Swickly for all that water.
Can you say that again? Do you think it's worth considering doing it as soon as we have the money?
Yeah.
Certainly better than waiting for it to break,
Yeah. Oh,
because the cash outflow will be significant as
well,
soon
the
as it
cash
breaks.
outflow will be significant. If we, let's say we say we'll hold it and wait till this signal goes off. Well, you got the problem. It may never go off, I don't know. But if and when it goes off, you got a problem with what may happen below. But then you also have a problem if we're not under construction. We got 6 months that we're gonna be paying Swickly at a rate that's 33 1/3% more than we charge our customers.
Well, what does that mean per month? The differential is,
Man, I don't know, what the 33 30%.
I mean, is it? But what do we pay per month now to Westview, roughly?
Well, like, it's a compound rate, so I can't give you that. I have it here.
But it's much more from Sewickley.
Oh,
It's
okay,
gonna be
yes.
much
Oh,
higher.
yeah. it's
I'm just trying to figure out how quickly we eat the 300,000. In other words,
Right.
if that 33 1/3%
I'm
means,
telling you, we did it, and if it's 6 months, you eat,
so you're telling me 50,000 a month.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, if this, in other words, if this breaks before we get this built, and
Trouble.
it's gonna take 6 months to get it built, you're gonna eat your.
It'll be 600,000. It'll be 300 to build the line and 300 in excess payments.
Well, you always have the 300 to take. You're not gonna get out of the 300.
No, I understand. but-
Plus you don't know what kind of damage that's gonna.
No, I understand. I'm just saying, I'm just thinking that probably the sooner the better.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I think Matt was concerned, and originally, what happens to these people down here?
Mhm.
A little leak, it's no problem, but if a 280 ton PSI line breaks, that's not a little leak.
And I think you said you have some thoughts about potential additional loans or funding.
Yes, we've asked Bankson to gear up, and we want them to be knocking on the door in 2015, as soon as the politicos settle who's running the various agencies, and see if we can go back hand in hand and get some money. Hopefully a grant, but if not a grant, then a loan.
Tony, is the red, the dotted red that goes across the top, is that all new too, or?
This is all new. This is
All
all
It's
new.
the
the way
whole
there.
new line.
Yeah.
Here's the existing one right here. So
Yeah.
we're gonna tie into the existing here, and our pressure sensor is right here.
Mhm.
So it'll serve the new line too. So
Mhm.
So that'll still, that'll be good.
that'll be great. We'll have it for the new one also. So that 20 grand or whatever it was is well spent.
And the bluish line that goes up the map,
That is the existing.
that is the existing, and
It
it's
goes
that,
all the way up to Duff Road.
yeah,
And
To Westview.
we connect to the Westview system of Duff Road.
as far as we know, that's not in any slide zone.
No, that's way up on the flat. That's
Mhm.
that's-
Well, I was thinking more in the close-in area,
Yes,
this is all good.
as far as we know, this has all been in since 1976.
Mhm.
We never had a problem with it. We never had a problem with this until that
Guy dumped on it.
guy dumped stuff on it, superimposed the load. That thing probably will last the 50 years it's supposed to last.
Gotcha.
These water lines should last 50 years. At least.
Very good.
Okay, so that's the story. So this was money well spent. And we can frame that somewhere. I don't think I need it anymore.
Mhm.
So
They
we can
didn't-
go ahead with it.
Didn't lose any equipment going down that hill.
You didn't. You saw it.
I was looking, They're working on a hillside. I thought their equipment was gonna tip over.
I know what they're doing. These guys know more than we know.
Tony, is the authority or the township going to borrow this?
Hmm?
Is the authority or the township going to borrow this money?
Well, if it's from anyone, the authority can borrow it. In fact, the authority should borrow it.
You're talking, are you raised about the current loan?
Future.
No.
Well,
Additional,
Well, in fact, if we get a grant, it could go to the authority.
Sure.
I don't know, I mean,
whatever.
it's our, wait a minute. The water system is all the authority.
Yep.
In fact, the authority doesn't have to come back to you for anything on the water system. It's
Right.
always has been the authorities. They set the rates. They've got the original loan. And I'm gonna talk about that in a little while here. But, so that's an authority function.
Gotcha.
But the authority's obligation is to keep us informed of what's going on, and that's what we're doing. So that's the slide, and that's where we are. I think it's well in hand, and we're just going to keep progressing and try to get some money to pay for it. If the township doesn't want to loan us $300,000, we'll try to get it someplace else. Okay. Can I move on?
Sure.
The next is the flows to the sewage flows. Now we're getting something that you are interested in. The sewage flows to Banks. John Seifert and I wrote a letter to Kevin Flaherty, alerting him that the flows are going to be much less than he's seen and what they designed for. And we've sent the first bill here in December, which represents November's flow. And the total flow was 2,348,400 gallons. Significantly less than what, of course, we paid for. That's an old story. But this will mean that we will be billed $11,036 for this month of November, which is lower than what Swickley told us they need to pay for their bond. So I'm just raising this because I see another hassle coming. In fact, when we went down to argue this case about the 100,000, Swickley said, "Well, just pay us $15,006 from June through October, and then get your meter in line, and then we'll go on the flow data." So we paid $15,600, which is 10% higher than our flows are now. So we paid them more than they're gonna
Another
get.
16,000.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. So my question is, do you want to fight that, or do you want to be? There's two questions I have. Do you want to fight that? Is it worth it? And the other is that Swickley wrote us a letter, and I assume that's all kosher now, and they agreed that that we can deduct the $50,000 credit.
I believe it was accepted, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And they suggested that we pay it in 5 equal payments of $10,000 a month, which would mean we pay nothing for 5 months. We can do that, or you can be nice guys and say, well, that's a little too much. We'll only take 5,000 for 10 months, so
No.
we'll pay. So they want to be a nice guy.
No.
I'm trying to be a nice guy.
Wow, how the tables have turned.
Not just,
Holy
like,
cow.
I just want to.
The lion will lay down with the lamb.
That's exactly right. I just want to.
No, it's the offer. Why would we turn down the offer?
I'm just being nice. I just don't want them to, I just don't want, they're they're gonna have a heart attack here when we show them what this flow is gonna
Well,
be.
can I ask about that?
Sure.
Gwen, you and I talked about this. The debt service is calculated by our flows over the total flows and whatever percentage that is relative to the Osborne interconnect.
Well,
Okay.
That's another subject, it's the same subject. Go ahead.
Well, yeah,
That's-
it's the
that's
same
next
subject. So I asked, how do we determine what the gross flow is through the Osborne interconnect?
I know what our flow is.
But how do we know the gross flow?
I don't know that.
Because the calculation of the payment is the ratio of
We know,
hours to
we know
gross.
what they said.
So what I'm saying, Matt, is that the initial calculation, the numbers are incorrect.
Well,
And that's how they came up with the 84% of the debt service. It's to be recalculated every year. It wasn't recalculated last year. It's due to be recalculated in February, but you can't determine the percentage of our flow to the gross without knowing the gross. And I don't know how we find out
What
the gross flow.
what is the gross
let me
flow?
just,
Go ahead.
let me simplify it for you.
Go ahead.
Here it is. We have what they said the gross flow is.
What is define what, I
The
mean,
amount of sewage flowing through the Osborne interconnect.
They said it was,
okay.
200
Us and Osborne.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
the
Okay. I'll say that.
241,000 gallons per day. And they said that our flow was going to be 190,000 gallons per day.
Hmm.
But our flow is going to be 100,000 or less. So I can do that math. It's going to be much less. So as you say, this calculation is wrong.
And the balance of the debt service is paid by whom? Osborne?
I don't know that answer.
I think it would be.
I think it would be.
So then, if our flows, well, given that our flows are what they are, the percentage of the debt service that we are obligated to pay is going to decrease
Should,
from 84% to something. Therefore, my question is, who's going to pick up that tab?
well, that's another sit-down negotiation. That's why I'm trying to be a nice guy and because this is going to be a real.
But my question remains, who has the gross number? We can't
They have the
calculate.
gross.
I hope so.
They
I hope so.
had it here.
Could be.
Or we charge,
There's nothing magic about this.
It's just, I question the validity of the numbers.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't believe any of it.
do we pay a certain so much per gallon, or do we pay as a percentage of total?
Percentage of the debt.
Well, it's based,
Based on flow.
answer your question, it's based upon gallonage.
Yeah.
What we pay is based upon gallonage. And then we pay a percentage of the debt service based on percentage.
If the total flow is 100 gallons
Yeah.
and we contribute 50,
Mhm.
we're obligated to pay half.
Right,
The current calculation is if the total flow is 100 and ours is 84, we pay 84%.
That's what,
That was to be renegotiated every February.
okay.
As we come to the negotiation this February, we now know that our flows, we know our flows.
Mhm.
My question is, what is the total flow?
Mhm.
And then the debate is obviously going to come, if we end up paying 50 or 60% of the debt service instead of 84, who's going to be responsible for the balance?
Mhm.
It may well be Osborne,
yeah, it's Osborne or Swiftly.
and I'm sure they're going to have a question about that, even though it's not a question, it's a calculation.
George, the reason
When? Oh, sorry.
we wrote this letter, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because quite clearly, when they see that we're paying 11 grand,
They're going to figure that out.
I think they're gonna figure that out, don't you think? And therefore, the next argument is, what about the rate? Which was calculated based upon higher numbers.
So who's going to sit down and negotiate? Like you said, they're going to, in February? This is negotiated, this is discussed every year,
It hasn't been yet, but
Right.
it will be.
but this will be.
It will be.
And that's
Again,
gonna be
this
you,
is an
Tony,
authority.
or is it gonna be John?
I
or-
don't want to discuss it with the authority.
You what?
I tried to discuss it with the authority when I was chairman of the authority. They wanted to discuss it with the township.
The contract is with the township.
Oh,
So it has to be the township
Yeah.
negotiate?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think Gwen has some new business, which is apropos.
Okay.
To this?
We're kind of dealing with this issue piecemeal. You know, one day we're talking about the tap-in fee and the next day we're talking about this. And I think Gwen has a very good thought. I think we need to kind of flow chart this event.
Okay.
And the other thing, and I'll let Tony finish and then Gwen talk, but
Yeah. well, you
I
just-
told Gwen today that as a result of what I know from the meeting this morning and these other events, she believes that she'll get calls from people asking her what's happening. And in my opinion,
I'm sure she will.
the conversation should not be casual, that they should be in writing. So I think when we sit down, before we sit down, we simply present them with the facts as we know them. Because there's been a lack of paper trail between Swickley and Aleppo that has caused confusion. And I think we just need to correct that as we move forward. So
That's what we're doing.
I know we're doing it. And all I'm saying is paper trail, not conversation.
That's what we're doing.
So going back, what was this meeting this morning?
Well, let's talk about that
Wait a minute for that.
in a second.
Yeah, right. Let me finish with this. Okay, so you have the story here. We can do what they say and just start taking the 10 grand in January. Or, as I said, you can write a nice letter and say, geez, thanks, we'll be a good guy and we'll only take 5 grand for 10 months, but we're gonna take it one way or another. But that's the story, which then brings up this and everything else related to flow. They just blew it. They really blew it when they estimated flows. So that's all I have on flows. So if you want to stay on sewers, you want to get into tap fee, I'll stay quiet.
Well, what was Gwen's new?
Oh, it was, I feel like there are a lot of balls in the air at the same time. And I get bits and pieces and a lot of stuff comes through me where we talk about one thing here, but it's tied to something else that we're not always remembering is tied to something else because we get wrapped up in one issue and we forget that maybe there's a tentacle that goes over here to this issue. We still have the DEP floating out here. So I would like to suggest a joint meeting of the commissioners and the authority, like all 10 members, as an information sharing meeting. It would have to be a public meeting and then you could go into executive session because it is legal. I think we need a big flow chart, like put your paper and we'll write all the things that we have floating in the air right now and then connect them, because if we're talking about negotiating one issue, it may affect another issue over here. And if we need to talk about money, we need to talk about if this is going to impact us this much, how we have to make sure that we remember that we have other outstanding money obligations around here. And I feel like we have so many things in the air right now that are connected that there's a good chance we're not all remembering that they're all connected together. And I would like to map it all out so that everyone has the whole picture.
I'll
Believe me,
second that motion.
believe me, John and I have it all.
This is regarding,
Believe me.
Good, I'm sure you do.
Believe me.
Good. Now,
Legal,
let's download your
a
brain.
lot of it's legal.
Yes.
We have a lot of
Right?
Yeah, and
issues that are all tied together somehow. And we can't negotiate one portion of it without remembering that it ties into another portion.
kind of if we do this, that.
Yes.
And I think
Nothing wrong with a flow
I
chart.
agree wholeheartedly.
I don't
with-
like big meetings
with Gwen.
because you never accomplish anything. If you want to have that meeting, John and I will sit down with you.
And
We'll do the flow chart.
And there are 2 dangling participles out there which also require a flow sheet. There's a legal action and there's the DEP.
Yeah.
Well, that's part, it's part of
That's
the,
part of it.
it's
yeah.
part of it.
Correct.
It's a
But
big part of it.
this is very
Probably a good place
important.
to start in the middle of it.
Exactly.
right there,
Yeah.
and see what
Yeah.
spokes each issue has and how they meet and how
Good.
they don't, and where the money is,
Cool.
and yeah.
So I think we all agree times 10, so set it up.
Big meeting.
Lots of fun.
You love big meetings.
I
We should make a committee. I'd really be happy if we made a committee to form the meeting.
That's right. We gotta do that first.
Yeah,
We don't
Who's
want to
gonna,
rush into this.
yeah.
who's gonna run this meeting?
You.
You,
But there's an authority and I'm not responsible for it.
It's gonna be
I would
I
recommend,
love brainstorming to just, let's all remember
I-
what part we're focused on, and
I would recommend that she that gets all the phone calls and is gonna have the magic marker run the meeting,
the person with a pencil runs a meeting,
okay?
or the typewriter.
So when it's,
We all
you
used to
you
say-
see the big picture,
It's fine with me.
and I think Matt said it right. We're gonna download Tony and John's brain,
great. Okay.
okay?
And we
I
got,
will do it
and we got all these
Jupiter.
kibitzers.
To get everybody's availability.
Yep. Way to do it.
Yeah, after the holidays.
Sure, yes, please,
Thank you.
do it in January.
Okay.
Think we might have to dig into the road money somewhere along the line.
What?
Think we might have to dig into the road money, divert it to something else?
That goes back to my other point.
You guys are, no, I don't think so.
Okay, good.
Well,
So we all agree.
all right.
I'm here to tell you that the sewer system is in good shape,
Yay!
particularly since we got 50 grand that we didn't count on. I was hoping for 100 grand. Are you recording this?
Yes.
Shit, I'm sorry. Okay,
It's all right.
okay, all right. While I'm on that subject, the authority, bring you up to speed. The authority tomorrow will be approving and looking, and we've looked at the budgets. And the sewer budget's in good shape. Not only is it in good shape, it's going forward, it is generating money so that we can fund construction and fund contingency, just what you have to do when you run something with capital. So we're going to start funding capital and a reserve fund starting in 2015. Just a little money.
Well, to the tune of what, a month?
Oh, I say it's just a little money. I'm sorry. I could, if I write one thing in front of me, I got too many things here. Sewer, water, water. Sewer. 2015. That's good, that's good. There's debt service, reserve capital. 2000, well, let me say, we started with 110,000 cash. We're gonna be able to add 51,000.
Good.
Sewer?
Hmm?
The sewer?
To the sewer capital and reserve.
Capital and reserve fund,
That's nice.
okay? And then in 16, we anticipate, we'll add 73, and in 17, who knows, but we're gonna add 78. So for the foreseeable future, we're gonna be generating money for capital and money for contingency, just like you need to do when you run any business. So the sewer's gonna do that. That's the present rates. And of course, that's the reduced rate to Swickley. Now, we didn't take advantage of the whole thing. I told them to just use 3 million gallons as the rate, as the thing, because it's gonna go up and down.
Mhm.
And we looked at the water consumption last month in November, and that was down. That probably has something to do with the fact that the sewer flow was down.
Mhm.
So that was a low month. So the budget is based upon a sewage rate of 300 or 3 million gallons a month. That's what this budget's based on.
Good.
Okay? So we're fairly comfortable with where we are because we're where we wanted to be. We're generating money to put in capital, and they will be separately accounted for and contingency. And they'll be separately, we're not gonna play games and take it out of P&L. It's gonna come out of capital. We're gonna have cash flow. We're gonna know exactly where everything's going. And we can all thank Tom Sinclair for helping out on that.
I think all of the members of the authority board.
Yeah. We're almost all. Okay. Okay. Now let me give you the sad story. Water is not good. Couple things going on in water.
Excuse me, but shouldn't we be doing this next week?
I'm giving you a heads up.
Reports. I'm just thinking under.
You don't have to do anything on water. I'm giving you a heads up on
Yeah.
water.
I'm just, if people want to hear next week. Under report, I don't know.
Well, you
Well-
tell me. I'm trying to give, I can wait till next week. I'm happy.
We're on a roll. It's 5 more minutes.
No, I don't care. I'm just thinking next.
Yeah, well, we
week you're
won't have
gonna
as much
need
to say next week.
I'm not gonna say this.
This is all going out for the public,
But
so
people are hearing this anyhow,
Yeah.
right?
Well, let me hold off on water.
You don't have to
you said something about bad news. and he's not
I'm
gonna
holding
tell
off
us.
on water.
You can give us water, Tony. It's
Wait.
okay.
Now,
No? I think you convinced me to do it next week.
You just don't want it. What do you want to do? Come on.
We just want
You
to
got
have
us on
a
edge
report
now.
to give next week. That's all.
I need one
He'll come
thing
up,
to say
he'll
next
come up with something to talk about next week. Don't worry about it.
What do you want? You want me to do it now or next week?
yes,
Yes, now or
yes,
next week?
please.
Now for next week, yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, I'll quit playing games here. All right, water. Story is not as bright on water. And there's really 3 things going on here. Has nothing to do with the way it's being operated. First, we have it on very good authority that Westview is going to raise their rates. They sent us a copy of their report where they are proposing a new water treatment plant off of, where the Beaver River comes into the Ohio. Because their present plant is running flat out. I mean, all 40 million gallons are being used up primarily because of cranberry and everything that's going up on at the North Hills. And it's becoming our biggest client. So they have to serve them. So they've gone out for a bond issue. They've gotten a bond issue. And they have our friend Gary doing a rate study for them right now to see what their rates should be. And we have it on reasonably good information, not actual rates. They haven't come up with a rate yet. But since we have to put that rate increase into our budget, we asked Manxon, who happens to also be Westview's engineer, what's their best estimate? And they say, we think we should at least anticipate 10% this year and maybe 10% for a couple of years going on, because it's going to be a big dollar item for them. So if we do that, that's going to be additional cost, major cost here. We have the potential 300 thou or whatever it's going to be for the line. We have the loans, which they're small, but we have payments to be made there. And we have this philosophy of the authority paying for the material and the installation. When you pave road on water lines, it's all costs, and all costs. It's very tough to budget. So what I'm telling you there is, after this year, in 2015, we will essentially deplete whatever cash we have. We got to raise rates. And the question is, how much should we raise rates? So we've gone through 3 scenarios. And the most conservative thing is to raise rates 30%. That's
In one hit, in 1 year.
You can do it in 3 years. You can do it however you want to do it. But we're going to have to have money come in here by 2/16.
So 999, roughly, 9% a year for 3 years, roughly, because that would compound. Or make numbers easy, 10%.
No, just to be a good salesperson, you say 9%.
999.
Well, no, that's, we think it's based upon that estimate of what Westview is going to do. They haven't published their rates yet. We're just supposition right now. The rate study's ongoing. We'll have that, but probably we won't have that till mid 2015, I think, is when they're going to raise rates. But we're trying to get a little jump on them because.
So you're anticipating this rate increase in January?
Yeah.
10%?
Well, I'm of the opinion, the way we always do, I just get one lump sum and do it once and forget it.
30%.
Yeah, rather than hitting them every year. That's the safest way. It's not, politically, it's not the best way.
I don't care about the politics. Why would we do that?
Well, if we do that, where's my little cheat sheet? If we do that, then we're going to generate money. We aren't generating any money for capital. We're going to generate money for capital right away. I mean, we're running this thing without generating money for capital, which is,
And the existing reserves have been consumed
yeah, we will consume.
by?
Well, in fact, they'll be consumed by 2015.
If we don't raise the rates.
Absolutely.
But if we raise the rates, we still have some capital reserve.
No, it's very, looks like,
How much?
looks like we're gonna blow through it on 14 here. Well, depends on when we're gonna spend the
Yeah.
300 grand.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna spend it in 2015. If that's true, then that's when we're gonna be out of money.
But that 300 grand might be in the form of a grant,
Well, we hope
might
so.
be in form of a loan,
Might be
and the loan payments will be over 5 years.
5 years, yes.
So they're not a $300,000
That's
impact.
true, that's true. This is looking at where do we sit today without
Yeah.
money in our hand?
But you're saying 30% over 3 years is your estimate.
Yeah.
How to get there is the debate.
Right, exactly. We're trying to generate money to build a capital fund. This water system has never had a capital fund.
And the monthly bill was roughly 87 per household.
No, it's,
77.50.
yeah, it's
And
lower.
for, if you use.
So we're
minimum
talking
amount,
$20 a
but-
month, $240 a year per customer.
The one,
It'll go up about $20.
one good thing, you'll still be significantly less than Sewickley.
Mhm.
You'll be less than everybody but Edgeworth. Now you'll be a little even over Edgeworth, who has the lowest rates in this area. So you'll be competitive,
Mhm.
but you'll be less than, Sewickley will be more than you, Coriopolis will be more, Moon will be less than you, and Edgeworth will be less than you.
I think the numbers are what they are. We can't avoid those. It's the question of a 30% hit or a 10-10-10, 12-12-12, 8-8-8.
And you want to do 30 in 1 year?
Yeah.
I don't think that would fly.
Then you gotta be, if we do 10,
So
10,
if
10,
the
we're gonna
bill is
have a
set,
big
what
argument
is
every
it?
year.
What is
See, I don't
the-
like to argue every year.
What is the main, well, because we all think that that's the end, and there'll be another reason next year that you have to increase it for some reason.
It's never the end.
It never is.
I mean, as Matt learned at his conference, Alcoasand went up 17, 11, 11, and they haven't even faced their $3.2 billion bond issue.
Right, so there'll be some other reason.
Absolutely.
So to say, well, we'll do it now and you won't see an increase is probably not going to be a truism. So let's say it's 10% of what's the monthly bill? 10?
Let's say $80, give or take.
Okay, that's a monthly.
So it's a question of
let's say-
increasing at $8 a month or $24 a month.
And I'm not sure that's gonna get us there. Well,
Well, no, but I mean,
It's
if
not
we do it
gonna
over
get you
3
there.
years, it's $8 a month. If we
but
do
it's
it,
not gonna get you there next year.
I think, do I understand that it would need to go up bigger than 10% just in order to function next year?
Yeah, in order to be in the black, yeah.
so it might be
You might do 15-1 and 15
15,
and
10, 5.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna need more money next year because for all intents and purposes, we're gonna be in the red next year.
And this is just to get a capital, this is to get some money. For
No, this is
capital.
This is
just
actual.
to operate
Cost.
Operating
at break
costs.
even.
And that,
And the
300,
sewage reflects the water bill,
The sewer is based upon the water
water bill. right.
gallons, not the price. So the
It
sewer
has
bill
nothing
would
to do
not
with
go up.
It has nothing to do with price.
Right, yeah, I know, oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's right. It's
I mean,
not-
my concern would be that, you know, in conversations in the manor, the 200-300% increase in the sewer bill has been felt. And giving people time to adjust, 15, 10, 10 instead of 30. I think there's some good reason for that. But
Well,
Tony, is there any thought or anything in there about adjusting that minimum 9,000 gallons? Or are they just,
well, you see, then you're hitting the lower, you're hitting the lower price guys. I don't like to do, I mean, you shouldn't be hitting the lower guys. You shouldn't be hitting the guys that pay the minimum. That's the single person living in a home that's using their issue. Your dogs use too damn much water.
yeah, because I don't use anywhere near, and most others don't use anywhere near that 9,000 gallons.
Well, and you should hear the crying over Masonic, but anyway, you don't, I mean, it's not a good policy to hit the low price guys. I mean, they're just making it.
well, no, he's saying he would pay
He
less.
wants it less,
He would pay,
less.
if he didn't have to pay the minimum, he might be paying
He
6,000.
wants it, he doesn't want 9.
1,000 gallon rate, but just to lower that minimum.
Why would you do that?
Because he
Well,
uses
It would
less.
lessen the burden, for instance, I only use half of that.
Yeah, but it costs more than that to just serve you. You gotta pay for the lines and everything
Yeah,
else.
I know, but you can still get.
That's what the minimum does. There is no water company in Allegheny County or probably anywhere that does not charge a minimum rate
That's right,
based on, right?
right.
And our minimum rate is lower than everybody's. Everybody's, except for Westview and a few others, big guys.
Well, I hate to come close to a committee.
Don't give me a committee on this.
But,
I don't have to, water, I don't have to do this, guys.
but the reason the
authority
meeting,
will do it.
the reason the meeting occurred today was because Matt legitimately said some of the uproar over the sewer may have been caused by a feeling of lack of communication. So before we address tap-in fees, you wanted to make certain that there was communication. This is certainly an issue that may deserve communication. Because if people wake up tomorrow and find out that their water bill is 30% up, we've done that without any consideration for communication.
Well, I think one way to, I'm sitting here thinking communication myself on this and thinking that it's perhaps in the digest that goes out every twice a month. This needs to be at the top and in red. You should watch this because it's a discussion of what's going to happen to your water bill and why in the next 1, 2, or 3 years. I don't know that anything more can be said. I mean, you know, do you have feedback? Are you going to get up and move out of Aleppo if your bill goes up 30%?
Would you be soliciting opinions?
I don't know what opinion there is to solicit.
You don't get opinions. I mean, it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, what do they
I
get?
got it.
People may not like it,
Yeah,
but it
No, I
is
think
what
just
it is.
on the question of 30, 0,
No,
0,
I wouldn't.
15,
I
just
think
let it
you
alone.
make a decision.
Oh, well, I mean, I might be interested for, are we going to vote on that?
No.
No,
No.
we're not going to vote on that. So then what do I don't,
It's yours, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
the
the
authority,
authority.
you, it's a
That's the
liaison.
Authority.
I mean,
if you want to know what people think, I could certainly find out for you what people think, but
I
if you
know what
don't,
people think.
what's that?
They don't want any raises.
Well, okay, but I mean, that's not the
That's-
question, that's not the
I've been
question
in
he's
this
asking.
business 40 years. I know what they
I
think.
think everybody would say the minimum, but that doesn't,
That's not the question he's asking. He's saying, are people going to prefer 10, 10, 10, 30, 0, 0, 0, 0, 30? I mean,
but if 10, 10, 10 doesn't get you in
Doesn't
the,
mean-
in the
Well,
black,
let's say-
then
let's
it's not
say-
an option.
Let's say
15, 7.5, 7.5. Just whether to spread it out over 3 years or have a hit right at the beginning is the only question.
Except
Numbers
that
are
I don't
numbers.
think that's for real, but again, I think that goes back to people are savvy and know that that's, oh, well, we'll take the 30% today and never see an increase.
We'll see.
No, you can't promise.
And that you can't
You can't
promise that.
promise it.
Right,
I
so,
mean, Westview up here, they make a decision and we're tied to it.
Well, the
It's
first,
out of our hand.
the first hit has to be enough to
Give
keep
you
us
a
in the
little
black
bit.
next year.
Right.
It's gotta be more than 10.
Well, if you just hit for 10 for the first year, then maybe next year we won't need as much
Excuse
in the
me.
way of a rating.
Well, then what's the opinion of the authority?
Well, we'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
so whatever the authority decides.
We'll
is
kick
what
that
they
can
decide.
down the
there's
road.
no,
I'll let them kick it down the road.
Okay.
I'm no longer on the authority. No, we'll let that, I'm meeting tomorrow.
You got
morning.
input to it.
I'm meeting tomorrow morning with John. I promised to buy him breakfast so he can meditate over it.
Okay,
I don't think I have anything else. I hope I don't. Let me get back to my cheat sheet. Where is
well, you just get it ready for next week. We'll be waiting.
it? Okay, that's good enough.
okay. Next. I keep hearing about this morning's meeting.
Well, you want me to talk about this morning's meeting?
That's all, yes.
So George appropriately and adequately described the purpose here. When I spoke to this board last month, I told you all that, as George said, I thought that part of the uproar about the sewer system was at least a perception that there wasn't adequate communication. So we formed Tony's favorite committee just to open up discussions with that with key players. So this morning we met and it was Tony and myself on behalf of this board. John was there on behalf of the authority. The authority engineer was there. We had Gary Shambaugh, our rate expert, on the phone. And we also had Eric Gross from Masonic Village. Masonic Village's attorney was present and Mike Minnick was present. So, in Harlem, yeah, of course, in Harlem.
The Masonic Village attorney was, what's his name? Because I haven't.
Brian Simmons.
Brian
Brian,
Sims.
okay.
So before you go, we agreed, the purpose of this committee was
The committee has no authority at this point, and the purpose is to have discussion and be on the same page, try to reach some sort of an agreement with what we're going to do
about what?
about the tap-in fee from
Oh,
Sewickley,
okay, that's right.
right?
Tapping fee.
Right.
Gotcha, okay.
And the reason that Minnick and Aleppo were there is that they have both received a letter from Sewickley saying, we understand that you may have some future development in the works. You should be aware that Sewickley has passed a resolution that's going to increase the tap-in fee. That new rate will be effective December 15th, 2014. And you developers, Minnick and Masonic Village, might be interested in locking in the low rate that we have now before the new rate comes in December 15th.
That's sleaze back.
That is a sleaze. Everybody agrees. They wrote that letter.
So we all got together.
Some ad on TV, right?
That's right.
You said it, not me.
Come get this, today's special.
Yeah.
Just pay extra shipping in hand.
Right. And you get twice, you get two.
Good.
There it is, too.
Yep.
Okay.
And so Gary Shamba, our rate expert, and the technical details of it were a little bit beyond me, but the bottom line is that Aleppo has already purchased a certain amount of flow, and we are nowhere close to consuming that amount of flow yet. We're right under half. So the question is, how could there even be a suggestion that Aleppo customers need to pay a tap-in fee to Sewickley when we haven't even used the flow that we've already purchased? Now, don't confuse this issue with the separate issue of the Aleppo tap-in fee. This is Sewickley, and compounding. I mean, that is the question. That is the underlying question. How can Aleppo customers be asked to pay a tap fee when we've already purchased unused capacity? Sort of layered on top of that is a question of how does Sewickley have any authority to require Aleppo customers to pay a tap fee at all? At all. So even once we reach our capacity, which will be years and years and years down the road, but even once we reach our capacity, how can Sewickley require our customers to pay a tap fee to Sewickley? And unfortunately, we heard that at least Mike Minnick has already paid. He bought.
He
bought.
bought
Yeah.
the special.
He took the
He
bargain.
bought. He bought for 4 out of 5
Yeah.
lots that he's got in Sewickley Heights Manor, and then he said he has a few more undeveloped that he did not buy for. But he's bought, and we heard that at least one other resident has bought.
We think one so
That's
far.
not, and there's one that we're not quite sure
And
about.
what did they get? They get it for how much?
1,144.
1,400 rather than their
What we-
new
what we
Rather
theoretically,
than 5,000.
5,000.
4,000. That's really was the basis of the agreement that you've been
Well, there's
arguing.
my first question. When there's a statement that how can they charge, we already paid them 400,000.
We haven't, but you.
What was the justification for the 400,000?
Well,
that was
that's
the tap-in fee.
very much the question is what did we buy for that
Well,
400,000?
I think we know what we bought.
Well, what did they think we bought? What does
I don't know
Sewickley
what
think
they
we
think.
bought?
No, but I mean, just the way it was presented now, what justification do they have to charge Aleppo
Aleppo customers,
Aleppo customers.
customers?
not Aleppo, the bulk customer, which is Aleppo.
Okay,
Yeah, you don't,
so, all right.
don't recreate that argument.
All right,
because
so the
that's one
bulk
of-
customer paid and therefore the
That's
individual
one of our
should.
key issues.
Right.
George,
Right.
don't give
Got
it
it.
away.
I got it.
Okay, so we are a bulk customer. And
We're a wholesale
we're
customer.
a wholesale customer. And they have no right to go to our individual customers because we're a wholesale customer. And they should have no right to go to individual customers because we bought a wholesale rate. And we've not
We're gonna
used it.
talk about our legal strategy and potential litigation. Maybe we should go to an executive session.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to do that, but
This is just.
I won't
this is
pry, I
discussed,
won't
this
pry
is
anymore.
discussed today in a,
I won't pry anymore. I'll let you go.
That's it.
Where do we go from here? Let you.
Oh,
well, we've agreed to write some letters, is the bottom line. We've agreed to
Is
write
it
letters.
inappropriate to say what,
I think we could talk about the meeting broadly, but if we're gonna.
what was the conclusion?
Well, the meeting, I mean, again, the meeting wasn't held in executive session, so how can
Okay.
what we discussed in the meeting be?
If this is what was discussed out of it.
Yes.
What was,
So we're gonna write letters, and there's gonna be a coordinated letter writing campaign between Masonic Village and Minnick, and basically they're gonna say, we are an Aleppo customer. We are an Aleppo customer, and we're gonna wait to see how Sewickley responds to that.
Good.
And we will take our next cues based on Sewickley's response to that.
Another
We want
piece of
our
the flow
money
chart.
now,
How about
What's that?
And he wants his money.
Well, that's somewhat of a discussed point, is should Minnick request a refund on the money he's already paid, and that's gonna be up to Minnick. I mean, we're not,
Right.
to be clear,
That
Chris,
has
we're
nothing to
not
do-
dictating what anybody's gonna do. We're just all
This is
trying to
not
get on the
about
same
us.
page.
How do you bring the industrial park into this?
what are
Should they be in the discussion?
for?
Well, no, they're, oh, well,
This is
they
only
may,
for new development, remember?
yeah,
well, there's vacant lots over there.
they could,
You know, in fact, I'm not sure Minnick has a leg to stand on either, because we're a bulk customer, and we paid that bulk rate for the customers that were existing here. We paid 1,000, you didn't pay that much, but
Right.
we theoretically paid 1,000, I think, was it 144
They
dollars.
gave us a 60% bulk discount.
And they gave you 60% bulk. So that was the rate, that was the tap-in fee for our customers as part of this deal. And we got a 60% discount and paid 400,000 instead of $1 million. But we paid theoretically, were we satisfied at 1,114 for all of our customers? Which included Masonic and included our customers. Now, I thought more about this as we went in. I think the Minnick case just muddies this more. That's why I don't like communities. But be that as it may, he can go his own way and fight it out. But I think Masonic in our case is clear. We paid it and we haven't used it.
Can I
Well,
ask,
but
this is Sewickley's authority? Or do they
Sewickley
not
does not have an authority.
They
They
don't
don't
have
have
an
an
authority.
authority.
Part of the problem. Part of
So
the
this
issue.
is Sewickley's council,
Borough, yeah, council.
and they have no authority.
That's correct.
And Joanne, when we met with Sewickley the first time, we made the comment when they told us about the increased
Right.
potential. You're targeting Aleppo. This is all going to fall on our shoulders. And specifically, it's going to fall on the shoulders of Masonic Village, with whom we're trying to
Because we're not the
regain
only-
relations.
Only developer land. Who is the president of council there?
DeFazio.
He's not on.
Susan
board.
Alshire.
It's Susan Asher.
But they didn't really take our comment seriously at all, because of the people that will be affected by this increase, 97% are going to be in Aleppo. It's almost like spot zoning. That's an incorrect analogy.
Can I ask you in this meeting, Matt?
Sure.
And Harlan was there,
Mhm.
and you said you had a rate person.
Mhm.
Were there any comments made that this was illegal? You
I
know,
wouldn't say illegal was the word, but never before seen
Never before seen,
was mentioned.
never before.
aberration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aberration, that's a good one, aberration. Yeah. it is an
Unprecedented.
aberration. Unprecedented,
Okay.
and that's from a lot of experience, including,
And that
But
was,
there's
that was the engineer
nothing
saying that, that was the
there's-
rate expert saying that.
So, but there's nothing we as commissioners can do about this. This is really up.
Well, again, what's gonna happen now, the disposition of this meeting was that there was this question of ripeness and standing. When will this be ripe to be addressed? And who should be the one doing something about it? Because at this point, all we know is that Sewickley has passed an ordinance that we don't really get a say in because we're not residents of Sewickley, right? And
We're not the ones actually paying the.
and they've sent a letter
Somehow.
to people in our township, right?
Tell them about this.
And it's a $500,000 issue.
So the disposition is that Masonic Village and Minnick are going to send a letter back to Sewickley saying, we've received your letter. Thank you. We are customers of Aleppo Township and Aleppo Township Authority, and we don't really understand why you're suggesting that we are going to pay an increased rate. You should take this up with Aleppo. Now, obviously, that is going to, every action has an equal and oppositely directed reaction,
That's
right? And
So, second law of physics.
exactly.
So you'll get
Newton's
it.
second law, right?
So they should,
So Sewickley will then presumably write to us and say, okay, well, you Aleppo, now have to satisfy this tap fee on behalf of your residents.
That's right.
And if you want to pass that along to them, that's kind of what we expect you to do. But if you want to pay it, and at that point, we'll have something to do. But that point is
but that's
theoretical
gonna
at this
go in
point.
their letter?
No. That's our guest.
Yeah, that's what
Reaction.
you think.
That's what we assume.
Right.
Matt, and then can I go back to the early comment? Gwen believes she'll get a phone call. My recommendation is do not respond.
Oh, you don't respond to that.
Back to my everything needs
You
to
mean
be
a
in
phone
writing
call
now.
from an individual or.
Right. She's gonna get a phone call from the borough that says, what the hell are you guys doing? And I recommended, don't talk, write. At this point, everything should be in writing. I don't want her to be in an uneasy position.
Well, I don't want you to be in an uneasy position either. So I
Just call my attorney.
Yeah, either do that.
I mean,
You know what I did in my
Get
career?
aware.
You know, I think simply saying this is not an Aleppo Township issue.
No, Kevin, if you have something to say, put it in writing. We will respond in writing. I don't want chit chat on the streets of Sewickley and between the two offices. I think it'll be nothing but headed for trouble.
I would do one of the things, something I found very useful. So I always had a telephone. You have a little notepad? No, you don't have one. No, the secretarial pad.
At the bottom.
And I have
is they're gonna
telecom.
send a letter. Okay.
Sam called me raising hell about
Okay.
this. I told him to go to hell. Okay, second one.
A diary.
I had
A
a
phone record.
I have a phone record of all my conversations that were contentious. Or I told him to write me a letter.
or the other thing that, I mean, the lawyer trick is that the second you get off the phone, whenever there's a conversation, you send an email that says, I just wanted to confirm what we just discussed.
That's even better. That's
Absolutely.
even better.
Yeah.
That was before email.
But I think she can simply say, if you have something to say, put it in writing,
I agree.
in a nice way. And then we will respond to it.
Well,
You can do it either way.
what are they, why would they contact us?
Because they're going to get this letter from Masonic Village and Minnick saying,
Oh, okay.
What
basically-
do you think they're going to say?
Yeah.
You
Gwen, can
think
you
at
put
I
the
it-
don't think
end
they're
of
gonna
the
get a letter saying, shove it, and they're gonna go, okay,
oh, let's shove it, right.
let's shove it.
Gwen,
No, I think that
You-
they
you know
might
what-
get a
yes.
letter.
You know what I'm saying.
Yes, I will not I will ask that if Sewickley has any comments, to please direct them to me in writing, via email or letter, so that I can.
So you can present it to the board.
Present it to the board. Yep.
And you were the one that suggested to me the probability of a phone call.
Sure.
Good.
I would think that if they send a letter, I mean, one of the possibilities is the letter will say, we think that this is unprecedented and inappropriate, and if necessary, we'll bring litigation.
Well,
And not
We're
to
just-
us, not to us.
we're
it
just, at
doesn't
this
involve
point, we're
us.
just saying,
Yeah,
we're just
we don't
saying-
know. We don't know.
we'll take our next cue based on what Sewickley does.
Good.
Yeah, we're not gonna shadow box.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But I thought it was a good meeting, and
I think we brought it all out.
and there's certainly, I think, given the meeting today, as Cousin Eddie said in Christmas Vacation, I would be more surprised if I woke up with my face sewn to the carpet than I would to have somebody tell us that there was a lack of communication if this issue comes to a head later.
Was there recognition of our cooperative effort?
Which one?
Cooperative record.
Sorry.
With whom?
Oh, you mean with Masonic?
Okay.
But I think Matt made it quite clear that we're not talking about anything else. We're just talking about this issue.
I would simply appreciate a recognition of our cooperation. Done.
It was a good meeting. Everybody was,
Okay.
There was good feedback.
Okay.
Okay, next.
I got one thing. I think Harley sent this to you one late in the day, the El Grande letter.
I think so. I didn't read it yet.
Yeah, it's the extension letter. I wasn't at the meeting.
Are they pretty tightly bound, Chris?
I believe this was the, when were you present at the meeting?
I was.
Okay.
I was.
I don't know if you want to give someone that was present can give a
It would be
brief
nice.
overview.
I like the 870 day.
It was, I had looked at it, but, do you need this copy then?
No, I
That's all I was looking for was the 870 per day.
Okay.
Or there's a penalty. They don't complete it by April 30th,
April
weather
30th.
permitting.
That's in,
Weather permit,
I
yeah.
wanted to make sure there was a consequence.
well,
So
that's,
there's,
that's in the documents.
yeah, it's good.
That's what we agreed on.
Good.
So if this is acceptable to the board, we'd ask that you pass this tonight if possible, and we can send that out.
Oh, I see. You want it signed. Mhm. Yeah, this is what we agreed on. Is that your recollection, Glenn? Fine.
I think April 30th is fine, weather permit, weather.
Price
permitting.
stays the same, April 30th.
Yeah, and they're gonna
Who
do,
determines weather permitting?
So is that the engineer's discretion to say,
Yeah,
yes, I
you gotta-
understand it
yeah.
rained for the 3 weeks?
Gotta have a third party. You got an engineer there. You should tell us.
Is that, all right. I mean, weather permitting as determined by,
Doesn't matter.
all right, an 870 a day if they, I like it.
This guy looked non-contentious.
Do we need a motion?
Yes,
Sign it.
motion.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sign it with it.
I move to approve the letter agreement between Aleppo and El Grande Industries, Inc., stipulating the terms for the completion of the road project.
The contract, isn't it?
On Overlook Drive.
Well, this is the whole program.
Yeah.
We have.
I'm sorry.
Areas too.
That's what I was hesitating. I didn't know what it was for.
The whole program.
Motion to approve letter agreement between Aleppo and El Grande stipulating the terms for completion of the road contract.
That's right.
George is a pro at making motions way longer and
Go
more
ahead, do
detailed than
it.
they need to be.
I second.
There we go. We got it.
Comments, Matt?
I would offer a friendly amendment that your motion should be that you move to approve the December 8th, 2014 letter agreement concerning the Aleppo Township 2014 paving program.
Jeez, was that shorter?
That's not an amendment, that's a substitution. Is that-
I think you measured my
We
hesitation.
have a second.
I second.
Something when you get an attorney kind of short, you can get a-
Yeah, but it was more words. All right, whatever.
Yeah, but those words
got
at
it, I
least
got it, I
all
got it, I
exist
got it.
already.
I got it.
We're gonna skip that.
Okay,
So we need a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
opposed, motion carries.
What else you got for the reward?
I have nothing else.
So
I move to
I
adjourn.
sign this?
He has the original, Chris has it.
I move to adjourn.
I second.
Have a nice holiday, everybody.
Okay.